folks, it's Rich here from Crafty Gamer Clan, and this video is going to be a little bit of a different one because we have finally managed to get to the end of my self-imposed goal challenge. And what I mean by that is, for those who have read the comments under each video, been building up over the months I've been playing the game after coming back in maybe March time, and saw a couple of videos online about the idea behind making in-game gold and then making that gold work for you through purchasing tokens. So one option for the tokens would obviously be to go ahead and use those for a month's game time, or you could actually use them to credit your Blizzard balance, and then you could use it to purchase things from the online Blizz store, including like games, also add-ons for your games like the expansions and loads of other services through there. And we have finally, if I just throw up my inventory now, you'll notice as of last night, I think it was, we've managed to get all 4 tokens required to credit the Blizzard balance with enough funds to go ahead and purchase Dragonflight for absolutely 0 of my own hard-earned cash, which I am pretty chuffed with. Might not sound that way because I'm not feeling the best at the moment, but it's still quite the achievement. I've got, at the moment, we're in about 23k, nearly 24. If I just quickly jump onto my TSM, that'll give me, yeah, so that's what we're looking at here. So apparently I'm looking at around about just under 34k across all my many different characters. But I've got to be honest, for the most part I won't be logging into those to retrieve that because it's not really worth the time. But usable cold hard gold right here right now, got about 24k to restart in the new expansion. Obviously over the next couple of days we are, what, 3 days away, or even 2 full days away from the release of Dragonflight. And I'll probably do a separate video going over my plans super fast just before expansion drops, and I'm doing a video of what the launch experience is like as we go into it, because I think the last one that I actually played through was Miss Pandaria, where I was there for day 1 release, and it was an amazing experience once you got through the first section. I think we got stuck on an engineering copter of some form, or trying to get down to the surface from the ship. But yeah, it was not smooth at all. I think I just got kicked off the server about 3 or 4 times, and after a few hours, eventually I finally managed to get down there to, I think it was Jade Forest, where we all started. And then from then on it was just brilliant. Loved everything about the expansion, and then sort of faded away towards the end, like I'm sure quite a few people did. Came back a little through Legion for maybe a month or 2, and I couldn't get into it. But yeah, came back, as I said, back in March, and I've been loving it ever since. Back in retail, and that's where most of my videos have came from. I've been playing this whole time without Shadowlands, so I've had that imposed cap of level 50 only until a couple of weeks ago when the first patch came through for the pre-Dragonflight stuff. I think I've had maybe about a week in Shadowlands, and I can see a lot of good points. I can also see a lot of the points that people complain about. But I couldn't really give it a fair review based on how little time I've had there. But I've just been absolutely loving going back through all the old story, the old zones, a couple of the old raids as well. And then of course levelling up characters and getting their professions up there to ultimately make use as we go into this new phase of the game itself. Phase 10, suppose you could call it. Definitely looking forward to that. And then another thing that I want to do is give a brief sort of rundown of how I made my gold and those tokens. And not quite sure how the best way to do this is. Bear with me. Not sure how smooth a transition this will be. I am hoping that you can see my Chrome tabs there. So all I've done here is I pulled the data out of TSM, which I'd be using by the second month. I think I had about 50k or so prior to this, and then after a bit of jiggery pokery with all the data that spits out, just put myself a basic transaction type, the date, obviously whatever item information you can get from the TSM export itself, and then negative if it's something that I paid out, or positive if it's something that I brought in to my gold balance, quantity of the item at the time, and then a total for that. And then also like a running balance, so you can see a picture of how my gold slowly evolved over time. And again, there will be a couple of dips here and there with the minus, just purely because I didn't start out at 0 when I had TSM. It wasn't until maybe a month, 6 weeks into playing again that I got the add-on. I'm going to bore you to death with the rundown of every single little thing that I did, but as you can see here at the bottom, it was all good because we ended up in a very nice spot in the end. So you'll see sort of my last transactions there. I do probably equal parts gathering, crafting items, so like bags, transmog, and then also a little bit of transmog farming as well. Just trying to diversify where I'm getting my gold from. And then these kind of tabs that I have here, these pivot tables, you can pretty much ignore them. Pretty self-explanatory in terms of like the gold change by day, so what the effects of each day's worth of gameplay was, then like summarized by the month. And again, going into this section here, so these were like what did I deal most in, and then also those higher ticket items, which I'll get into as we get into the dashboard that I made, which I'll hopefully populate here in a second. Okay, the data. So looking at it as an image, hopefully shouldn't slow the recording down any, or cut or cut the audio out. I hope not. Yeah, as I was kind of finding my feet kind of thing for the first 4 or 5 months of playing, I did end up losing almost all of my gold in June. I was just enjoying the game, getting leveled up, getting those first 2 or 3 characters out there and doing a lot of story. And then towards the end of July, start of August, I started to realise that I wanted to do this challenge. And it was also around about the same sort of time that I started producing videos for the channel. So the entire goal of the entire challenge itself was just purely to be able to buy Dragonflight. Once I decided that I was definitely going to be into it, but I wanted to do it having not the most up-to-date expansion, so I couldn't get those quick sales from current content. I wanted to be restricted down to level 50. I wanted to have to almost fight a little bit harder to get it. And as you can see in October there, I did lose a bit of the faith that I was going to make it for a while. But thankfully did manage to push through at the end there and had an absolutely crazy bounce back in November, which based on my playtime, which really isn't a lot, it's maybe a couple of hours every other day, I definitely did the most of it. I'd probably put myself in the casual player bracket. And you can see those bulk sales there. You can almost guess at what I've been doing for the last couple of weeks. I've been around the Isle of Giants a couple of times there. I've been doing a bit of mining, a bit of skinning, just trying to boost my gathering by going for things that I know I'm going to get rid of quickly. These are just the top 5 in terms of just pure numbers of things that I've crunched out over the time. You can see the gold balance there, just slowly creeping up and up and up after that little dip there before I started to take it a little bit more serious. And you can also see where I've got into here, got into the panther mounts. So those are my highest value sales I've had of those so far. 24. This is after the AH cut as well, so I'm not making too much gold on these, but over time I'm not gonna put them for like the listed price that everybody else is. I think I'm gonna start aiming a little bit higher and then hopefully get a bit of creep. Like I managed to get lucky with the Ruby Panther, which sold for probably about 12k profit. I've also got into trying to do a lot of the living steel myself as well to fuel those. The supercooling module, that's the Walls of Draenor part for the trading post. Basically you get a couple of parts for the Bart in your garrison, and it allows access to the auction house from there. The Battered Hilt is a quest item which leads in towards a very cool Wrath of the Lich King transmog weapon piece. Also, you've got the Reigns of the Thundering Ruby Cloud Serpent, which you get from combining 10 Sky Shards in the... it escapes me. It's the Central Valley in Pandaria. And I think it's Elegon. I think that's what pops into my mind. So it's the big thundering red dragon that's flying around the zone. You collect all the shards from killing mobs in the zone. You get a chance of a shard. Collect 10 of them, combine them, and then use them on the dragon, and you'll actually get it as a mount. It's pretty cool. I'll have to go back there at some stage because I had to sell mine, just purely to push myself over the finish line. You can see there in this little donut chart here, sort of progressed once I started kicking it into slightly higher gear in that gold. And as you can see, November was definitely my month to do it, but running out of time is a heck of a motivation. Yeah, hope that was a little bit insightful, showed you how I got there. And that is how I managed to attain those 4 tokens. And I look forward to seeing everyone who's playing Dragonflight on Ravenholt server and all the servers that we intertwine with. Thanks for watching the videos as always. I'll see you again soon. Goodbye.